Canseco bids for the second homer of the inning. If it's fair, he's got it.
Whoa.
And it settles into the upper deck.
Oh, my goodness.
So what is wrong with Major League Baseball and the Players Association?
They allowed steroids in the game. They endorsed it. They turned their blind eye to it, and because they were all benefiting from it financially.
José Canseco's tell-all book, Juiced: Wild Times, Rampant Roids, Smash Hits, and How Baseball Got Big, got people talking in February of 2005. And in this video, I want to cover the book's background, content, impact, and legacy. Anger clearly motivated Canseco to reveal what he knew about steroid usage among high-profile stars in professional baseball. His revelations famously sparked congressional hearings, they accelerated the adoption of a drug testing policy, and they kept stars Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa out of baseball's Hall of Fame. But Canseco would eventually regret naming former teammates as drug users. An anonymous user on Reddit recently argued that José Canseco is the most important baseball player of the last 50 years. Not the most famous or successful, only the most influential by popularizing a muscular look and introducing steroids to teammates and other players. Then in 2005, he brought the steroid era crashing down by revealing the truth of what had happened behind closed doors. Let's talk about Juiced, a book that changed Major League Baseball. José Canseco and his twin brother Oswaldo were born in Havana, Cuba, just months before the family fled to Miami. And like most Cuban-American boys, the brothers played baseball, which was the national game in their homeland. Canseco's senior year of high school, he garnered the attention of scouts and was picked by the Oakland Athletics in the 1982 player draft. The first 2 years of his professional career in the Pacific Northwest and Upper Midwest were not especially remarkable. Then, a life-changing event occurred while playing for the Modesto Athletics of the California League in 1984. Mid-season, Canseco's mother became gravely ill and died. The 20-year-old returned to Miami and made a tearful promise on her deathbed that he would become the greatest baseball player ever. During the offseason, Jose spoke with a local bodybuilder and began using anabolic steroids in combination with a weight training regimen. By the spring of 1985, he had gained 50 pounds and possessed a bodybuilder's physique. Playing for the AA Huntsville Stars of the Southern League and AAA Tacoma Tigers of the Pacific Coast League, Canseco had a high batting average, but what everyone noticed was his power stroke. The press compared him to Mickey Mantle and fictional character Roy Hobbs in 1984's film The Natural, because Canseco could hit 500-foot home runs. By season's end, he had earned a promotion to the major league team. Now, contact hitting, finesse pitching, defensive wizardry, and aggressive base running are good descriptors of 1980s baseball, not massive guys hitting monster home runs. So Canseco was an anomaly. He looked more like bodybuilder and newly established movie star Arnold Schwarzenegger than Cal Ripken Jr. or Pete Rose. The Muscle Man had a breakout season in 1987. He slugged 33 home runs and stole 15 bases. Together with teammate Mark McGwire, who hit 49 home runs that year, they formed a duo dubbed the Bash Brothers, so named for their celebratory forearm bash. The next year, Canseco set a major league record, hitting 40 home runs and stealing 40 bases, the first person to do it. He was unanimously named the American League MVP, and American media marveled at the size and power of Oakland's baseball players, many of whom looked like NFL linebackers. And I should mention here that journalists did ask Canseco if he was taking steroids, to which he always had the same reply: "No, I'm not using them." Injuries hampered the start to Canseco's season in 1989, and from this point forward, he always seemed to have legal problems. Arrested for reckless driving in Florida, and again in California for keeping a loaded pistol in his car. He played for several teams in the American League, including the Blue Jays and Texas Rangers, But his pattern of controversial behavior and unstable relationships existed throughout the 1990s, and that persona contrasted markedly with the smiling, likable pair of home run hitters in Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa. Now, this is not to say Canseco didn't have any good seasons after his time in Oakland. In 1998, he hit 46 homers and stole 29 bases for the Toronto Blue Jays, showing off his rare combination of speed and power. But 1998 belonged fully to McGwire and Sosa, who captured the national imagination by shattering Roger Maris's single-season home run record of 61. Then in 2001, Barry Bonds surpassed Mark McGwire's record of 70. The national press murmured about steroid usage from time to time, or commented on the surging number of home runs since 1990, but more obviously, sports writers could see that players with builds like Ron Beck or John Crook had been displaced by guys with builds like Ivan Rodriguez or Jason Giambi. You might call it the Cansecoization of baseball. As for the man himself, he hit 16 homers and 8 doubles in just 256 at-bats for the Chicago White Sox in 2001. That solid offensive performance would be the basis for his belief that baseball had blackballed him. So it's Winter Meetings 2002, and no major league team offers Canseco a roster spot, just one contract to play minor league ball. He's 37 years old and 38 homers shy of 500 career home runs, a magic number that practically guaranteed induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame at this point in history. Canseco is in the middle of a messy, expensive divorce with wife Jessica, one in which Canseco misses court hearings, tests positive for steroids, spends 1 month in jail for a probation violation, and files for bankruptcy. Life is not going well. Adding to his simmering resentment, the Los Angeles Dodgers offered Canseco a spring training tryout in 2004, but they decided not to offer him a minor league contract, and so he retires from baseball and makes a deal with publisher Judith Regan to tell his story, and Judith Regan is known for putting out explosive content. Ghostwriter Steve Kedman conducted extensive interviews with Canseco and molded the stories into a tell-all book with lurid details that would interest people with or without interest in pro baseball. Canseco, for his part, probably got paid somewhere between $750,000 and $1.5 million for the story. Oh, and the press wanted something very important: names. He would have to name names. With whom did he use steroids? He met Madonna in 1991. Oh yes, that would go into a chapter titled Madonna's Bat Boy. Published in February 2005, Juiced opens with Canseco arguing that steroids are the future of all professional sports and something to be embraced. Elite athletes, he says, should take these drugs under the guidance of a physician and excel. Okay, this is not a typical opening statement for a sports book. With respect to baseball history, Canseco claims that juicing began in the 1980s, not the 1990s, and it had become pervasive by the start of the 21st century. Not only that, Major League Baseball had consciously ignored the trend after the 1994 players' strike because the surge in offensive production had been good for ticket sales. Canseco identified himself as the godfather of steroids because he had personally showed so many players how to use and get the drug. He named teammates Mark McGwire, Rafael Palmeiro, Juan Gonzalez, Ivan Rodriguez, and Jason Giambi as steroid users. Canseco even said he had personally injected teammates McGwire, Palmeiro, and Gonzalez. The gossipy book talked about his marriages, divorces, legal problems, and interactions with celebrities like Madonna, who apparently wanted to have his baby. There's a certain cartoonishness to the book. Canseco claims to have run a 40-yard dash in 3.9 seconds, which would be the fastest ever if true. And while deep-sea fishing near his home in Miami, he claimed to have used a street sweeper shotgun to shoo away sharks from his boat. Critics questioned the author's credibility, and the salacious book was certainly over the top at times. But its substantive and explosive core had two parts. First, the game's biggest stars were steroid users, and second, everyone in baseball, from its owners and players association, were perfectly happy with the status quo. On both counts, he was essentially right, and no one has ever sued him for libel or slander. Anger motivated José Canseco to tell his story. Speaking to Jim Rome before the book's publication, Canseco says he was blacklisted by the game's owners who disliked his image as a steroid user, and he expresses anger towards former teammates.
Are you not ratting other guys out?
Absolutely not. And I'll explain to you why. When I was with the New York Bears, the independent league, all my friends that I thought that I had in baseball turned their back on me. And I could look them straight in the face in the camera right now and say, they all turned their back on me. Not one called me. I couldn't get a hold of anyone who I thought were my true friends, who I had done a lot with, spent time with their families. Not one called me, and not one I can get a hold of. Not one. When you are being blackballed and exiled from baseball, players are privy to this information. And we all have the sense, and we know who it's happening to. And players tend to stay away from that individual because they're afraid that that player who's being exiled, if another player sticks up for them, that other player may be exiled also. So that's what really happened.
He also repeatedly says his attack is directed at baseball and not the players themselves.
My main objective was never to attack the players. My main objective was to attack Major League Baseball and the Player Association. The reason why I named the players is because I need these individuals to come out and admit that what I'm saying is the truth.
Come on, man. Why would you think the players are going to come to your aid? The clubhouse code is a thing, and you violated it. Also, he repeatedly said to the press, the great majority of players were using steroids, and the baseball establishment knew it.
How many people do you think were using steroids in baseball?
At the peak of steroid use in baseball, when I was around, I truly believe every 8 out of 10 players was using it in one way, shape, or form.
And you think baseball was aware of it?
No doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Faye Vincent says he knew it was around. He was aware of it. And, you know, obviously he's not the baseball commissioner now, but Selig all of a sudden says, we didn't know it existed, which is an outright lie. The public's not going to believe that.
Such statements cast doubt on everyone, including those who didn't use steroids. I should also say that Canseco stopped gushing about the positive effects of steroids after the book came out. He quickly transitioned to speaking in somewhat moralistic tones about cleaning up the game and the need for a stronger drug policy. Well, no one could ignore the book. A wide array of people in MLB had to respond to Canseco's allegations. News show 60 Minutes featured Oakland manager Tony La Russa denying knowledge of steroids among his steroid usage among his players in Oakland or St. Louis.
Why do you think that Canseco says that McGwire was using? Honest.
First of all, I think he's in dire straits and needs money. I think secondly, I think there's a healthy case of envy and jealousy.
The naming of Mark McGwire as a steroid user was significant due to his positive media image and likability. One part of the public hated the idea of baseball stars using steroids. Others said, well, of course it's true. A firestorm had been ignited. People talked about ethics in professional sports and the relationship of children to it all. Then Congress weighed in. The American House of Representatives organized hearings on the topic of steroids in baseball 1 month after the book's publication, and Congress summoned Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, Rafael Palmeiro, José Canseco, Curt Schilling, and Frank Thomas via video link-up, all to testify under oath. Members of Congress asked questions about what players, owners, and managers knew about steroid use. Canseco said he believed 80% of baseball players were using steroids. Curt Schilling said he could not point to anyone he knew using steroids. McGwire said he would not talk about the past. That unwillingness to answer questions made him seem guilty and negatively affected his reputation. Sosa and Palmeiro were emphatic. No, we have never used performance-enhancing drugs.
I have never use steroids, period.
If the major leagues does not come forth with an aggressive policy, and I think what you're hearing today is we are not overly impressed by what the major leagues have done. Will you come back in a year from now and say, members of Congress, we support you in passing federal legislation to tell the major leagues that they have got to be aggressive?
The hearings were quite a spectacle, and the players all agreed on the importance of establishing a drug testing policy. Oh, and I should mention that 5 weeks after his sworn testimony, Rafael Palmeiro tested positive for a steroid. He appealed the result, but the damage was done to his reputation. The publication of Juiced, testimony of Canseco, and the intervention of Congress put real pressure on MLB and its Players Association to adopt a stronger drug testing policy that included penalties for repeat offenders, including the possibility of a lifetime banishment from the game. Commissioner Bud Selig appointed Senator George Mitchell to investigate performance-enhancing drug use in 2006. Mitchell's report, released at the end of 2007, named 89 Major League players alleged to have used steroids, including one of the game's biggest stars, Roger Clemens. Then the results from a separate 2003 drug test were leaked to the press in 2009. Among those names were Alex Rodriguez, David Ortiz, Manny Ramirez, and Sammy Sosa. Canseco wrote a second book, Vindicated, that essentially said, "I told you so." The same year Vindicated came out, an A&E documentary told the story of Canseco attempting to quit steroids after 25 years of habitual use. Here's something then-girlfriend Heidi Northcutt had to say.
I know that if he could turn back time, he would not have written that book.
And the more I think about it, the more I regret mentioning these players in my book.
Indeed, Canseco has repeatedly said he would apologize to Mark McGwire in person if given the chance. During the 25th anniversary of the 1989 Oakland Athletics championship team, Canseco hoped to reconcile with McGwire at the team's celebration, but former Bash brother Mark McGwire wants nothing to do with Canseco. And it's easy to see why. McGwire would almost certainly be in the Hall of Fame without the publication of Juiced and the congressional hearings that followed. The baseball writers refused to induct McGwire, Sosa, Palmeiro, Bonds, and Clemens into the Hall of Fame, and yet the writers have also softened their voting positions in recent years. By 2017, they inducted suspected drug users Ivan Rodriguez and Jeff Bagwell. Canseco tweeted, quote, "It's a great day for the hypocrisy of Hall of Fame voting. Induct all who use PEDs or induct none." Juiced is one of those consequential books. It kept great players out of the Hall of Fame, it helped end the steroid era, and it raised questions about how to view the time period. Canseco's controversial, mercurial personality persists to this day, and he still embodies many of the characteristics of modern celebrity culture, living a lavish lifestyle, declaring bankruptcy, staging publicity stunts, craving media attention, having new wives or girlfriends. He has rarely avoided legal trouble for very long, and it was certainly naive of him to think that he would not pay a price for revealing secrets about teammates. But with all that said, he did the most to promote the use of steroids in Major League Baseball, as well as doing the most to expose a corrupt and hidden aspect of the game. For this video, I want to thank Oregon State alumnus and history major Yibing Kim. They compiled a list of the interviews Canseco has given about Juiced in print and on broadcast media, as well as other source materials related to this topic. You will see their list in the video's description. Thanks again to Yibing, and in the comments, let me know how you see Canseco's place in baseball history. Whistleblower, symbol of modern sports culture, or perhaps as the most influential baseball player of the last 50 years.